All right, we are off mute and time to go. Welcome back to the White, Gray, Black Weekly Manga Podcast. This is the podcast where we talk about all of the latest and greatest ongoing manga releases. My name is Bruce. I'm the proprietor of the White, Gray, Black YouTube channel. And with me again this week is Gautam, off mute, my partner
What's up,
in
fellas?
weekly manga crime.
How you guys doing?
So let's get right into it, because there is actually a lot of news this week. So first up, there are 4 new series coming in Weekly Shonen Jump in the next couple of weeks, and they're all pretty, well, 2 of them I think are pretty big, and the other 2 we'll have to see about. Did you hear about these?
Nope. I did hear that the stuff was coming out, but I haven't looked into any of them.
Cool, yeah. So the one that interests me the most, which is what we'll start with, is Nisoi Isin, who is noted for the Bakemonogatari light novels, Katanagatari, anime, stuff like that. That's also a light novel. But he has a new series, which he is the author of, called Ango Gakuin no Iroha. And the artist for that is Yuji Iwasaki. I'm interested in that because Nisoi Isin is one of, if not my favorite authors. So... and I was thinking, all of his light novels are published under Kodansha, so I was thinking, oh, that's weird that he's doing this with Shueisha. And then I realized that he's published a lot more manga than I realized. He has like 8 or 9 one-shots that have come out over the last like 10 years, and I have read like none of them. So I am really interested in this one.
Are they getting the artists from the Monogatari manga?
No, they are not getting Ogureto. No, that guy is insane. I'll pay attention to anything they do. No, the artist is Yuji Wasaki. Let me see if they have any info on them. A bunch of one-shots, it looks like. 2017, 2018. Yeah, about a one-shot a year. Not a whole lot of... Did we read this one? Kusukako Mountain? Where all the trash ends up? No, I have not heard of any of these. Detective Boy Kuro, Mimeto no Omito, Mato Hazure Kudobu. No, I have not heard of any of these, unfortunately. But, I mean, the art looks fine. I'm more interested in the writing. I mean, having Great do the art for Bakemonogatari is awesome, but the writing is still awesome. So, that's the one that I'm most excited about. That one comes out in issue 51, which I think is in 2 weeks. I believe 52 is the last week of the year, so 51 would be like week of Christmas, maybe a week before Christmas, I think.
Okay, gotcha. So all these are coming out like effectively in December.
Yeah, the list that I have has issue 50, 51, 52, and then issue 1 for 2023 are the 4 weeks that these are coming out. The first week, we are getting a series called Ichinose Kei no Taizai. That's by the author Taizen 5, who's famous for the Takopi's. I have not read it, but I have heard it is emotionally stunting. Was it Takopi's Original Sin, I think is what the English title's called?
Yeah, Takopi's Original Sin. Yeah, that was a read. I've
heard a lot of things about that. That's on my plan to read list. I will probably try to get that in before the series starts serializing. But the other 2 I know a little bit less about. The series after those 2 come out in issue 52 is called Ichigoki Sojuchu by Seiji Hayashi. Their previous work is called I'm From Japan. It only lasted about 8 months. I think it was in 2017, 2018, 2019, sometime around there. And it has like a 50-episode anime. Never heard about this. Might not have been something that was brought to the West. Considering its name is I'm From Japan, it may have been very Japan-focused. But it seemed to be pretty popular.
How's it only going for 8 months but has 50 episodes?
That was kind of my question, too. Is it seemed like it had like a... average length for a canceled manga, and then it also has an anime, so I don't know. I'm curious about that. But that's by Seiji Hayashi. Again, not familiar with their work at all. And then the last one is called Jinzo Ningen 100 by Daisuke Noshima. This is based on a one-shot of the same name, roughly translates to Artificial Human 100, Artificial Humans 100. Ningen is humans. Yeah. So those are the 4 new things we're getting. Apparently people really like this Jinzo Ningen 100. I put that on my to read list also. Hopefully the one shot, is good and the series is good. I think Weekly Shonen Jump, in my opinion, in the past, I think 12 months has had one new good series, and it's Akane Banashi, and everything else has been garbage. Maybe even 2 years, right?
Yeah, like
I can't think of anything they've done. Yeah. There's a couple things in Jump Plus, of course, that are good, but actual WSJ has not impressed me for the last 2 years, trying to fill in the slots that Demon Slayer left and a couple other things. They have not had a whole lot of hits, in my opinion. Akane Banashi is selling well. I think that one sticks around for a good while.
Witch Watch is good, but it's a gag manga, so it's
Witch Watch is good. I wonder how many chapters we're on for that. We're almost to 100 chapters on that, I think.
Yeah, I think it came out in
so that's probably about 2 years old, yeah. Actually a little over 2 years old, because usually you get, I think, 46 to 48 chapters, so a little over 2 years old. But yeah, Witch Watch is probably the thing before Akane that was worth anything.
But I get what you mean, because it's like Witch Watch is a gag manga, like I assume you mean like non-gag manga.
Well, even gag manga. I mean, Me and Roboco is also popular, right? But again, I think Me and Roboco is also over 2 years old. Just in the time limit, I'm saying. Like, I think in the last year we had Akane, right? Akane's, I think, 1 year old in maybe like February, something like that. But yeah, in the last 2 years, it's like they've had one series stick around. I mean, I know that there's always a little bit of churn, but I feel like they've been cycling
a lot of churn.
6 series at the same time, almost like anywhere more than 3 or 4.
Do you see Ginka and Luna getting the axe?
I don't know. Volume 1 for that I don't think has come out yet, or it's coming out soon, maybe this week or next week. We will have to see what the sales look like on that. I wouldn't be surprised. It's nothing super special. I do think it's better than everything else that's been axed. I think it's better than Aliens Arena. I think it's better than the cell phone bullshit. It's definitely been better than most of the new stuff I've been reading in WSJ, so...
Yeah, it's fun, but it's like nothing special.
It's fun, but it's sort of like, but if it didn't show up for 1 week, would I like really care? Like, not really. I mean, it's also very new, right? It's only, I think, on 9 chapters, maybe 10 chapters this week. So, I mean, usually series get about 6 months, right? You get about 20 to 30 chapters, sometimes less than 40, to figure out if you're selling well. What that really means is they want to see, decent first volume sales, and they want to see second volume sales match or beat those, because they want to see, hey, more people started reading this. More people are reading it now, and so now slightly more people are buying volume 2. Every canceled series that I've seen, looking at sales numbers, they sell okay, medium in their first volume, and then volume 2 drops off, and then volume 3 is lower, and then it's canceled, and then volume 4 maybe sells a little bit more, just because it's the last one, but... Yeah, the biggest thing that leads to those canceled series is falling sales. So I think it's okay if you're consistent. If you sell, 20,000 for the first 4 volumes, I think you're consistent enough that WSJ says, okay, they aren't falling in sales. We'll keep them around, see where they go, see what happens. Get them in anime in a year or 2, and it'll boost sales. But if you have falling sales, volume after volume, Shueisha does not like that, so they tend to cancel those.
And it makes sense, right? Like, you have to have a proper hook. Like, it's so much easier to read chapter 1s and one-shots of things than it is to read something at chapter 50.
Yeah.
So if they don't have that hook, sooner or later, I'd be a little worried.
Yeah. I also will say, of all the things they've canceled in the last 2 years, all of them have deserved it, in my opinion. I don't think a single one of the things that has gotten canceled has been good or quality at all. I think the writing... editing and everything has just been generally pretty terrible.
Yeah, I think Red Hood had potential, but it transitioned from kind of a cool arc to something really
Red
boring.
Hood was more than 2 years ago, also, but I've heard good things about Red Hood, or at least that it was better than most canceled
until it got the axe. Yeah. Did the Bone Collector manga, whatever it's called?
Oh, Skeleton Double.
Yeah, Skeleton Double, is
That's
that gone?
that's in Jump Plus. That is still
Oh,
going.
okay.
That's garbage,
Okay.
and I dropped it. We can put that in
Yeah.
the news. It's. I think we had this conversation not on podcast, but I told you that like at the end of the first volume, it needs to introduce some kind of twist or something needs to happen, and they did that, and it was bad. And then I read one more chapter, and it was not good. Yeah, I think that author will be successful with maybe their second or third series. I think there's a lot of potential in the ideas that they had, and the writing wasn't the worst. It just needed something else. I don't know. It was, like I said, it was. I thought it was really interesting. The first 2 or 3 chapters, I thought it had good action when the fighting started, interesting power ideas, and then it kind of introduced this twist that was just not worth anything. And yeah, so
Yeah. It just seemed like a kind of like a more tame version of
it's just Ajin, right?
Ajin.
It
Yeah,
was just watered down Ajin, yeah. And Ajin has some issues, but was much more interesting and sort of violent and visually stunning than Skeleton Double ever really was. So yeah.
right.
Next thing, this is something that I didn't even realize, but Weekly Shonen Jump is going to have its first female editor ever. Is going to be the editor for the new the Takopi manga author. Taizen 5 is the name of the series. So her name is Fujita. I couldn't get her full name, but I saw on Twitter. Her name is Fujita. It's insane to me that Weekly Shonen Jump has never had a female editor.
Yeah, that's insane. Wow. Well, hey, you know what? That's going to be super beneficial for them.
I hope it is a sign of change things, and it is not a one and done. We tried it didn't work, which I know Japan has done that kind of thing before. Hey, we tried it didn't work. So hoping that Taizen 5 is popular. I think since the Takopi manga was well known and popular, I think that this Taizen 5 series will at least start out fairly popular. I think people will look to read it because they've read Takopi and want to read this. So
I'm honestly kind of surprised that they just have never had a woman's perspective in their
it surprised me too.
editorial
Also,
staff.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Huh.
I
Interesting.
mean, understandable for a. I mean, Weekly Shonen Jump is shonen. It is aimed at young boys. Clearly, the male perspective is important to them. I just assumed, surely there was one girl at some point in the last, how long have they been doing this? 70, 60, 70, 80 years, something like that. So,
Yo,
yeah.
can we give Horikoshi that editor?
Yeah, jeez.
maybe
Can we
you
just
can
have
write
I feel like her job just needs to be, hey, give a once over on every single series, before they finish writing them, and just be like, hey, by the way, almost all of your females are written so poorly, just especially Hori. But yeah.
Oh my god, especially Hori.
Yeah. Dan to Dan, our love child here, has reached 200 million views on Jump Plus. That's for the total chapters, which is, what are we, just past 100? Or almost at 100? Close to 100, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
So that's very good.
Deserved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dan to Dan is awesome. Sells well. That one's going to be around for a while. There was a leak on Twitter, unconfirmed, that a Dan to Dan anime was coming from Studio Wit. How do you feel about the timing in that?
Yeah, you know what? That would be awesome. They killed it in Attack on Titan, and Dan to Dan is, I don't know, it has a lot of motion, a lot of action. So I think they do a great job. Hopefully they don't lean too much into the CGI. That was their weakest point in Attack on Titan.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'd love freaking hand drawn Levi scenes in Dan to Dan. That would be awesome.
Yeah, for sure. I'm tentative. I think Dan to Dan does things that you can do in a weekly drawn manga, have almost constant action, right? I mean, you get maybe one non-action, non-art kind of focused chapter every 6 or 7. I feel like in an anime, you can't animate every episode that well. I also wonder if people will enjoy something that generally lacks an overarching plot. I know this has kind of been my conversation point around Dan to Dan for a while, and that it doesn't really have a greater goal. It is just kind of, there's one very minor greater goal, and everything else is just kind of a week to week, kind of a monster of the week. Something showed up and we have to fight it, or a friend is in trouble and we need to help them type thing.
I think it'll be fine. I think just judging from the success of the manga in general.
Yeah.
But I think you're right in terms of animation. It's the One Punch Man problem all over again,
It
right?
is, yeah.
Speaking
Yeah,
of
which is
which,
why I
season
really
three,
would have liked to have seen something like Bones or Madhouse on this. Just to,
right.
yeah, just say, hey, after I guess they haven't announced who's doing One Punch Man season 3 yet. Hopefully it is
Yeah,
one of those.
that's what I'm wondering.
That's Madhouse, I think. But yeah,
Madhouse is kind of like a skeleton of its former self.
they do a lot less than they used to. They are still good when they do things, but
They hemorrhaged a lot of their talent. So it was like
they did. A lot of people from Madhouse actually do Mappa stuff now. There's a lot of crossover there.
They all moved over to Mappa.
Yeah, well, because they were the shonen people, right? And Mappa just kind of cornered the market on shonen in the last 3 or 4 years with Jujutsu Kaisen and all that stuff. So
I think it's like a Gainax trigger situation where it's kind of just like an exodus, you know?
Yeah, I still think Madhouse has talent there, so we'll see. The last point, I don't know how you don't check Twitter that often. Tokyo Revengers ended today.
Oh, I saw that.
And everyone hates it. I have not seen a negative reaction to an ending of a manga like this in the time that I've been reading manga in the last, 6 years. Insane how disappointed people are with this ending, at least in the West.
I've seen, I think, only 2 on this scale. Putting aside Attack on Titan, because
Attack on Titan was not this negative. There were some people that did not like it, and it was half and half. The people who didn't like it, I think, were a larger voice, but not necessarily a larger population, if that makes sense. This seems like no one I have seen likes this ending.
Tokyo Ghoul, people threw a shit fit.
I do remember that one briefly, yeah.
But
yeah.
I think they were kind of just being babies about it. But the other one is that one that you read, where like one of the sisters gets put into a coma and the other one's pregnant with it. Like, do you remember
Domestic Girlfriend?
Yeah, Domestic Girlfriend.
Yeah.
People went crazy about that.
So I read. There's like maybe close to 300 chapters in Domestic no Kanojo. I read about 100 of them. There is some quality writing in that series early on, and then it stops, and it just does not get better. And from what I've heard, it just does not get better, and then it ends. So
that's fair.
From the things that I've heard about Tokyo Revengers, checking in just on like the Reddit comment threads and stuff, is that in the last couple of weeks, months, I'll click on one, everyone has been down on this arc, and I didn't even realize it was the ending arc. So this might just be a thing of person's done, doesn't want to deal with it, just ended. I saw a lot of people saying like everything they covered in the last chapter should have been 15 chapters or 20 or more chapters.
I think it's a Game of Thrones type thing.
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
It had a lot of chapters before it blew up. And I think the pressure kind of stacks. Personally, I didn't really like it that much, and I read like 50 or 60 chapters of it.
Yeah, it doesn't, from what I saw from it, it didn't really look like something I would enjoy, but yeah, that'll be funny to watch. I also saw a lot of people apologizing to Isayama for Attack on Titan, for flaming his ending for not being good, when they say, no, this is actually bad. Your ending was okay and just maybe a little rushed, which is kind of the camp that I was in.
I think apologizing to him on Twitter is kind of lame.
I mean, it was like, it wasn't like they're not tagging him, right? They were just kind of like, I'm sorry, Isayama. This is what a really bad manga ending looks like.
I think some people will tag, because some of these artists go off, or some of these authors go off the grid because people have a major freak out about endings. I imagine the pressure is crazy. So even though I didn't like Tokyo Revengers, I don't really blame the guy for wanting to check out.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Now, let's see if we can get the Hunter x Hunter guy to check out and end his torture that he's been enduring for years.
It's so good, but I just feel bad for
I do too. I feel bad. I want him to, that's a whole, we could have that conversation. We'll talk about Hunter x Hunter someday.
We should.
Cool. All right, you went first last week, so I'll go first this week.
Sure.
For favorite of the week, we got a new series translated in the West. It's been out for maybe 2 or 3 months in Japan. Nope, all right, I'm going first. And that is called Akebane Honeko no Bodyguard, or Akebane Honeko's Bodyguard. This is an action romance with art that I thought was really good. We just got the chapter 1, and I think this has potential to be sort of the best version of all of these tropes put together, if that makes sense. This is kind of going to be, I think, a mashup of like Assassination Classroom with a little bit of maybe harem elements. I don't know. Not sure if there's going to be harem necessarily, but it was good. I thought. Did you read this? I guess first of all,
I did. Yeah.
What'd you think about it?
You know what? I thought it was a strong first chapter. I'm curious to see where it goes from here.
Yeah. Some of the things I really liked about it was the main character is not a generic, boring, black-haired everyman. He had an actual personality. He was aggressive. He had an interesting style. He has messy hair. Everything about the main character I liked. I definitely thought he was much more interesting than the average main character.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, good visual design. I like that he's kind of a loud shithead.
Yeah, exactly. Loud shitheads are good. This reminded me, the dynamic between the two, the lead boy and girl, reminded me a little bit of that boyfriend-girlfriend aggression manga that ended a while ago. That was really fun.
It reminds me of Yu Yu Hakusho, man.
It's this page here.
Boy, together girl.
Yeah, this page right here, actually, because I was worried because the main girl was like, okay, whatever, she's just gonna be, focus of his affection. She won't have much personality. She'll be a damsel in distress. And then, like, pretty early on, she's like, no, she like yells at him and is like, hey, buddy, like, what the fuck are you doing? Get the fuck to school. You need to be over there. You are not doing the right thing. And I like that. I thought that, again, she actually got some interesting character stuff in there too. So
yeah, and I wonder if they're going to explore how, like, the fact that she, like, is kind of living a lie right now. Like, all of her friends are hired.
Yeah,
this is pretty dark.
Yeah, that's definitely a question for later in the series, but definitely something that would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is more on screen. Is more she slaps him in the back of the head, says, "Don't stare at everybody in class." She definitely seems more kind of this like perfect type, but I like that she goes against that type by being really aggressive with the main character here.
Yeah, and I just checked. Apparently, it's the artist and author's first work.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of those. I think this is I want to say this is a. I don't know who publishes this actually. This might be a Jump Plus thing that just hasn't come over yet. I'll have to find it later. Yeah, but then this spread where all of the people, oh, hey, by the way, everyone in class is actually her bodyguard, including the main character. This is interesting, and I am a fan of the variants on a single uniform for character design. I know you don't read it and don't like it, but Maho Seihei no Slave does this with their sort of military uniforms, where all the girls have a military uniform, but they're all styled slightly separately, and they have different hair and different personalities and stuff. And this series, I think, even in Chapter 1, does a pretty good job with it. You can see people have different tie styles, wearing their jackets differently, different ties entirely. The girls, this is the standard, one of them has leggings, one of them doesn't. This one has twin tails, this one has regular stuff, so
yeah, and the guy in the middle has like the jacket unbuttoned, hands in pocket, kind of reflects their personality without even like displaying them as a character. Yeah, it's cool.
It's good. I'm excited for it. Let me get my mouse working again. There we go. Yeah, so I mean, I'm excited to see where this goes if it stays up. Hopefully the translators who grab it in the West do a little bit more of it. They'll probably do one a week like most people do. You were bringing a one-shot, which is interesting, that I read. So tell me about Dreams, Reality, and a Time Capsule.
Yeah, so big spoilers kind of just for this one shot. It's like 6 pages. Basically, two supposedly high school kids dig up their middle school time capsule where they wrote their hopes and dreams down. They don't remember what they wrote. One wanted to be like a famous chef, and the other one wanted to just be married. And they talk about how their dreams can't ever come true, and how naive it was that they wrote those kinds of dreams. And at the end, it's kind of shown that they're in an apocalyptic situation, so no normal human dreams can ever come true.
End.
So yeah, I dig that. It was a nice little one shot. It was melancholy, and I love those, especially when 99% of one shots are, I don't know, just all romance, random romance ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was a good one, and it takes like 2 minutes to read. So
yeah, I thought this one was okay. I think in general, the more pages a one shot has, the more.
Yeah.
The more I'm sort of gonna enjoy it or like it. Man, my keyboard thinks that it is holding a button down. Oh well, I'll have to deal with it.
Yeah, and honestly, with these fave of the week like I'm picking something that's like not Chainsaw Man or not One Piece.
Yeah, because we talk about those a lot. And we are talking about One Piece in a bit.
I don't want to put One Piece down for every single one.
I think we mentioned it last week, but we've set a strict limit on we can only talk about One Piece once a quarter. Which we probably will, because it's worth it and it's good and it's a fun one to talk about. But which is today actually, so we're going to talk about One Piece after this. Yeah, I thought this was okay. I thought it was just sort of a cute. It was just cute, and then the twist was like cute. It didn't really go into any hyperviolence or anything like that afterwards. So it was very much just it was just interesting. This is one of those things that only works in a one-shot, and you can never... There's not more to it than there is in these, 9 or 10 pages, whatever it is. Because it's just kind of...
that's fine.
Yeah, it's just kind of a single joke at the end. But yeah, it was good. It's definitely... You're right. It's definitely smarter than the... I found a cat, which now is a girl. The girl at school does not talk, but she looked at me for 4 pages. Now... I am in love. I blushed. We blushed. A lot of those.
They're so saturated, man.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a saturation of those because they just get posted on Twitter and they are very simple to translate. And so Western translators grab them. Stuff that's, 80-page one-shots, 40-page one-shots that are actually quality are kind of need someone in the community asking for them to be done, or else, no one's going to get that.
It's also like, I suppose... like 2 minutes of escapism for
exactly
anyone who's romance starved.
Yep, exactly.
I think the one shot, I'll keep this brief, but like the apocalyptic one shot I liked a lot was the one with the stationery store. Like the dude had a magical girl manga before the world fell apart.
Yep. Yeah, I remember what you're talking about. Yeah, that one was really very good. And I thought that one could have been a mini-series or... A
mini-series, yeah.
Yeah, real quick on one-shots. TV has figured this out, right? TV has figured out that there are a couple of different forms of visual media, right? There's a movie, which is like a one-shot. I'm going to equate it to. And then there's the sort of long-running series, which is, season after season. Manga has not... Some people have done it, but manga has not really figured out that sometimes a miniseries is the best way to tell a story. I mean, we could use Takopi's Original Sin, right? That's not very... I don't know how many chapters that is, but I know that it's like less than...
It's like 19 or something.
Yeah, it's like less than 30, I think. It's very short. But it's like... I mean, that's essentially a miniseries. And I kind of wish there were more of those, right? I mean, if you knew that some author you liked, instead of writing a series for 300 pages, was like, oh, I've, plotted out the entire plot of something. It's going to take me this long. I've gone out 50, 50 chapters is almost a full series. But, if they were like, hey, it's going to be 4 volumes, right? Which is maybe about 30 chapters. I would be more interested in seeing those and reading those. I also think that, man, the biggest issue, speaking of Tokyo Revengers, one of the biggest issues with manga authors, I think, is that they do not know how to end things because they do not get practice at ending stories. And if they don't, if they don't absorb the practice of ending character arcs or or story arcs or something like that, if they don't internalize that well enough to end an entire story, you end up with a lot of really shitty endings, or a lot of good series with mid to bad endings, right? I mean, I'm trying to think of the last series that like ended and it was like, oh, the ending of it was amazing and it was so much better than. I mean, I'm trying to think of things that have ended, but it's like, okay, Tokyo Revengers, people didn't like that. Attack on Titan was pretty middling. I thought it was okay. Could have used 2 chapters, but I thought everything that contained in it was good. Kaguya was good, but Aka Akasaka should not be the standard to compare to because he is one of the best authors working. But yeah, Kaguya was good for sure.
But yeah, you know the reason I think that they can't really afford to like drop it, like to end things properly, is because like if you make a movie or a miniseries in the States, right, and it does amazingly and it's short, you can get a producer to fund your next one pretty easily. Mangaka is it's like it's a what are you doing for me now? It's kind of always prove yourself kind of an industry, and it's hard enough to get published. So I think once someone does get published, they want the work and they need the work, you know.
For sure, yeah. It's cutthroat.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
it's just how the industry is set up is kind of fucked up.
Yep, for sure. All right, we went to go see One Piece Film Red this weekend. Let's talk about that real quick.
Sure.
How did you like it?
I thought it was pretty dang good.
Yeah,
I watched every One Piece movie. And I guess in comparison, I thought it was one of the stronger ones. I did like Strong World and probably Film Z better, but it's probably either third or fourth, right next to, the 6th movie, Baron.
Yeah, Baron of Matsuri's whatever.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I have seen 2 One Piece movies. 2.5. I've seen Strong World and this one, and half of Z. I think this one was better for me. I thought this one was really good. I don't know. I thought it had better character writing. I thought that all of the issues were more from things like editing and directing, less so the script, which I thought the script was strong.
And before we get into it, let's just say spoilers.
Yeah.
Just so.
Well, yeah. Minor spoilers. We'll try not to outright say things that are exactly what happens, but no, fuck that. We'll just put full spoilers.
All right.
It's a spoiler podcast. We're talking about stuff you should have read or seen this, hopefully. So, did you have a favorite part? Yeah, full spoilers.
Yeah, my favorite part, easily the music and kind of just the animation and what went with it. But like a favorite specific part is probably her first fight with the Straw Hat Crew. It was animated kind of beautifully, and her song was awesome. Yeah,
I agree. The music in this movie is absolutely insane. I am an instant fan of Ado, who did all of what's her name? I forgot.
Uta.
One more time.
Uta.
Uta. Yeah, I was like, she has a weird short name. Uta. Yeah, all of Uta's songs are done by this artist named Ado, who's like just turned 20, is Japanese, and has, I'm not even kidding, one of the most amazing voices I have ever heard. She's insane. You're going to hear her now she will be the like best anime opening of the season. I'm going to guess 2 or 3 times in the next 2 years.
Yeah, she was nuts.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about the art. I thought the art, the style, the music was all good. Character stuff that happens. How did you feel about the character writing, character execution? One Piece movies are always pretty light on this.
This one wasn't really. And I liked that. I thought Uda was like just a very compelling character. I didn't expect, just even judging from her design, I thought she would be like a protagonist in some way, and she is, but like she's the movie's primary antagonist, which I didn't expect at all going into it.
I thought that was a really cool. I thought that was a really cool reversal because I was fully expecting. I mean, when she's first introduced, I was fully expecting. There'll be somebody else will show up and they'll be the bad guy. In Strong World, it's so obvious. I mean, the bad guy is just introduced as the bad guy, and so I was kind of waiting for that. I liked that they broke, and it was like she was the antagonist, but she was misguided and emotional, and I thought her journey was awesome. Plot and all of that stuff was good. Do you think Naruto fans will like this movie? I was going to say, do you think Shonen fans will like this movie? But do you think someone who's a fan of Naruto and Bleach and does power comparisons on Twitter and Reddit for One Piece
No.
is going to like this movie. I don't think they will
No.
either.
Yeah, I don't think at all, actually. Because I mean, there is like fighting and action and stuff, but it actually the action scenes were kind of, I mean, they looked pretty, but they were the worst part of the movie for me in a way, because
Yeah, they were okay.
I felt like they weren't necessary. I was like more invested in the plot,
Right,
and the character stuff, and it felt like the action, while it looked really pretty, was just kind of there
because it had to be.
Yeah, it's a shonen movie, it's a One Piece movie, and people expect fighting at some point, you know?
Yeah. You were a bit more down on the sort of final fight bad guy than I was. I thought the design of it was cool and interesting, although the fight against it was a little all over the place.
Uh-huh.
Have you changed your opinion or still feeling the same way on the...
I just felt like a tonal
Musica.
inconsistency. Yeah, Top Musica, which is just
It's a cool name.
A cool name, cool design. It was just a big piano demon. It just felt like a big bad that was just thrown in there so the characters can fight. When like the rest of the movie is all about Uta, and you know, like, and I know Top Music was talked about like throughout the whole movie, but it still felt like kind of hey, we need to see Luffy go Gear 4 and Gear 5, and we need to see Shanks use his sword. So here's a bad guy for that. So that was, I think, my weakest point of the movie. But it did, for people who like good animation, it did look like Digimon the movie. It was super colorful and the animation was great.
Yeah, it was great.
What did you think?
I liked it. I definitely thought it was better than I expected. I had heard good things about it, but I was expecting like, okay, you know, like a good One Piece movie, sure. Like I had heard, you know, Strong World was good, and Strong World was like fine. Strong World was fun. It was not good, right? It was not like quality character writing or emotional impact or anything. And this one I thought had those kinds of things. So this one, I'm a super character person. That's what I like in my movies. I like good character arcs. I like good character development. This movie had that with Uda, and that made it a lot better than the other One Piece movie I've watched. I am primarily a reader. I have seen some of the anime, and I generally hate it. So, although the recent Wano stuff has been good.
Yeah, and if you like this one, you'd probably like Baron no Matsuri.
Baron no Matsuri. Yeah, you keep telling me that. I need to try to watch that one. So,
it's pretty dark actually.
Yeah,
like darker than this one by like a significant margin.
Give it a score from an F for awful to an S for exceptional. With
B.
Just a B? Okay.
A B.
I think I'd give it B+. I don't think it's an A.
We can do pluses? No, I'd still give it a B.
Yeah, you can give pluses but not minuses. Yeah, I think it's a B+ for me. I don't think it's an A. A would mean like it's good. Like, you know, like solidly good, and it's not. It's still kind of a One Piece movie. It has some weird flashback stuff in there that's kind of like really slows down the momentum in the middle of the movie. You just like have a bunch of flashbacks for like 30 minutes, and it's like you could have done some of these at the start of the movie and it would have been fine.
That's what I was thinking. Like when Luffy drew the little straw hat on her thing, which was like right before.
It was like right before it mattered, which I hate. Yeah. I hate when people do that. Right? That's the Horikoshi special, where it's like, hey, something's about to be important. Immediately foreshadow it in a flashback.
Well, hold up, buddy. You say that, but you could also do it the Demon Slayer way, which is right after it matters.
The Demon Slayer is even worse, which is their head is half chopped off, and then you do the flashback when you know they're going to die, and it's like, this does not matter to me anymore. Yeah, flashbacks are
so bizarre.
Yeah, flashbacks are a problem for a lot of authors. Yeah, I liked it though. I mean, I think it's definitely worth it if you're a One Piece fan to go see the movie. So, any last thoughts on Film Red?
Yeah, Beppo is like really funny, man.
Oh, Beppo. Beppo was a standout in the movie.
And basically all he did was like screech and make weird noises, and it was just funny every time. I don't know.
The Beppo jokes are great. We're gonna see memes when this hits streaming or Blu-ray, I guess, when we get the high-res cuts of it. So speaking of One Piece, we'll do some more One Piece talk. The latest chapter, which was 1065, The Six Faces of Vegapunk. we'll have to put a strict 15-minute timer on this, so we'll talk about it forever. We're still in Vegapunk's
honestly,
lab.
let's just make it 10, and we'll just
see.
talk about what we liked. Yeah,
we'll see how we can do it. So end of Wano. After that, we're doing this Vegapunk arc in what's the island called? Egghead.
Egghead. Yeah.
Yeah. How have you liked this arc so far?
Awesome setup. Vegapunk is super interesting. The island seems really fun, and big reveals this chapter. So yeah, it's been great so far.
Yeah, at the end especially. We'll get to that. Yeah, I'm liking. I like Egghead. The in between arcs feel more focused and have a bit more momentum than sometimes the bigger arcs. I mean, Wano had like 80 chapters of a raid, which is fighting and jumping around, and sometimes you're interested in a fight and it shows up for 1 page or 2 panels, and then you don't see it again for weeks. I really like the in-between parts of One Piece where it's much more focused, and this one has been focused, and so I'm liking Egghead so far.
Yeah, it's super interesting.
Yeah,
and
we meet
I like
Seraphim Jinbei, lots of stuff in this chapter.
Vegapunk in general has like 2 decades coming, right? You know, it's like
yeah. I mean, when was he first mentioned? Was like chapter 90 or chapter 190 or something? So,
oh man, something
it's been
like
700
that.
or 800 chapters since Vegapunk was first mentioned, and Oda talks about him a lot in the SBS and the questions and stuff he takes. So, yeah, it's very important that he is finally on screen, and the One Piece people on YouTube, the theorists, are eating it up. So,
yeah, they're going crazy. But finally, in this chapter, at the very end, we get the Lost Century information, where Egghead is just
a hint of it. Yeah.
Well, Egghead is built on top of that civilization, which is really interesting.
Yeah. So we'll go back real quick, but we meet the other 4 or 3 members of the 6-person Vegapunk split thing. We meet Edison, Pythagoras, and Edison is noted for flair, Pythagoras for his wisdom, and then York, who I think we had met earlier, for desire, and the Daft Punk member number 3, which is Shaka, who is the logic Vegapunk, I guess.
I guess the 5th one is the evil one, or
there's 6 of them, so the other 2 are
the evil one. The evil one we met at the beginning,
was Lilith, and
then the second one was hanging out with Luffy and Bonnie and Chopper.
Lilith, and I can't remember the other one's name, but yeah. But here's what you were talking about is on this last page where. We've been talking for the last couple of chapters about how Egghead is the island of the future, and it turns out that no, quite the contrary. Shaka says this is an island of the past. A civilization from 900 years ago, which is exactly the time of the Void Century, has a more advanced technology than present-day One Piece world.
So they're going to pilot that mech, or some mech, aren't they?
Yes, I think so. One of the questions that I saw being sort of circulated around was, Oda was asked years and years ago, like, if you were going to do a manga after One Piece, what would you do? And he said, I would want to do a mecha fighting manga. And my guess is that we're just going to get a mecha fighting manga, probably in this arc. Like, maybe not next chapter, but in a couple of chapters. By the end of this, if we don't have 2 mechs fighting, I think it's going to happen. I'm so confident that it's going to happen. I would take any bet on it. So
I would too. Like, Frankie is already mecha light, you know, like, so.
Yeah. My bet is that, well, I hope that Frankie gets something to do. He has definitely been appearing more often than he usually does, right? I mean, even on this last page, he's in. Can't even tell you the last time Frankie appeared on like 5 panels in a single page in One Piece. It's been a while, and he's on this last spread. He's in 5 panels of 7 or 8 or so. So yeah, hopefully, I think people have been talking. Frankie has looks up to Vegapunk and is a similar situation, kind of robot body type thing. So,
and he was in this time skip. He was stranded on one of his labs.
True, right? Yeah, he spent those 2 years with Vegapunk's notes, I want to say.
Yeah, yeah, just like one of his abandoned like facilities or something, and a bunch of notes. Just like it's like if they do like a revolutionary arc and Robin has no screen time at all, that would be like insane, you know?
Yeah. I've seen people complaining about it already of why didn't Robin tell Luffy about Sabo and all this stuff, but
Luffy doesn't care, man.
yeah, and we'll see. I've read the leaks for the next chapter, and it's going to be interesting. We could talk about this again next week, but we won't.
There was a chapter where Robin literally asked, like, "So yeah, there's a bunch of information on pirates and how the world has changed. Like, do you want to hear about it, Luffy?" And he's like, "Nah, maybe later."
Yeah, that was like right after they get back together on Saburi, right?
Hey, no, it was like right after Wano. It was right after Wano.
Oh yeah, that's right. She's like reading the paper or whatever, and it's like, Luffy, do you want to know about all the things I read in the paper? And he's like, nope.
Freaking great, man.
Yeah, it's awesome. So we kind of talked a little bit about where do we think this arc is going with the mech fights. Any other predictions for the future of the One Piece manga?
Yeah. So the CP0 is back, which is basically the CP9 from Water 7. I don't assume they'll fight the Straw Hats. I think they're just there to do their kidnapping mission and whatnot, but or assassination mission. I think revolutionaries and government kind of clash, like spies on both end kind of clash here, and then the Straw Hats are just, I don't know, enjoying their big robots and doing whatever they want, you know?
Yeah. I think that's a good call. I think usually these in between chapters are much more combat light. I predict we get 1, maybe 2 fights, and it's probably could be CP0, could be somebody else, could be world government, who knows? But yeah, I predict we get a mech fight. I think we're gonna get. We got this sort of at the start of Wano with the Odin flashback, where people were like, "Holy shit!" Every week we are getting so many reveals about the history and about like Whitebeard and Gold Roger and all this stuff. I think that's what's going to happen to an even more severe degree. I think we're just going to get chapter after chapter of just here's what Devil Fruits are, here's what Vegapunk has been doing, here's what the Void Century was, here's what the past happened, here's what the world government did. I think this is going to, I think, this is going to close a lot of books for theorists, right? In the next 10, now until probably February or March, right? The next 10 or 12 chapters.
Good. It kind of needs to, because we don't have.
I think so.
I put this in air quotes. We don't have that much One Piece left to go.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that actually goes. I agree. Yeah. I think that after Wano, Wano answered more questions than it presented. I don't think it presented too many questions at all. We kind of got a tease with the man with the flame scars, or the man scarred by flame. That was like the only real new thing. Everything else was kind of solved. And I think, I think we're going to continue on that trajectory, right? Oda's going to give us answers to all these questions that we've had for 25 years. And we're going to come out of this not with more questions about what everything is. We're just going to come out with this, like, okay, where are we going now to punch people? Where are we going to fight? How are we using this information? That's kind of what I predict the next couple of weeks, months are going to be.
I think so. And I guess we will see if Law got off-screened.
Yeah. There's no way, right?
I have no idea. Maybe.
Yeah, who knows? My guess is this will be one of those things where it's like, we don't see Law for 6 or 9 months. And the people are like, what happened to Law? Because it just does that sometimes.
That's what happened to Ace, man. Like, he got off-screened.
Yeah, that's true. He did get off-screen captured, so wouldn't be the first time. Any last thoughts on One Piece before we move on to our one more thing?
Nah, let's chat about it next quarter.
Cool.
Next fiscal year.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in January or February at some point. So
FY23.
Yeah. So that's it for manga. One last thing, something we're playing, reading, just want to talk about. I want to talk about Fire Force just real briefly, because I've been reading this. I'm about 65 chapters in, I think, which is about a fifth of the way through. Really enjoyable, actually. It's peak shonen in the sense that it is everything I think a shonen should be. It is a little bit funny. It has good action. It has interesting characters. It is sort of plot driven with mysteries. It has good action. I put these 2 pages in here just because this is Shinra is a interesting MC. He isn't the best MC in shonen, but he's better than average, I would say. And like once every 15 or 20 chapters, he just gets to blast his way in and absolutely deck the bad guy. And it's you get there's been 3 or 4 of these panels. I chose this one, but it's really enjoyable. I'm actually really liking it. I'm surprised at how much I'm liking it. I assumed it would be one of those kind of like it's fine, and I'll keep reading it for whatever, but I like it. It's good. It's
yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah,
it's the same author as Soul Eater. Have you read that?
I watched Soul Eater, so I have not read that, but I watched all of it, and I know the ending was bad in the anime and different.
Pretty good in the manga. Yeah.
Yeah. The thing that really inspired me to read this was reading Gachiakuta, the garbage manga that was a guy who was assistant to who was this guy's name? Okubo? Yeah, something Okubo. It was, and I was like, man, Gachiakuta, the design is cool, and I want more of this, and I could do with Shonen is a lot easier to read. I'm also reading Monster. That's a lot harder to put like 6 chapters a night down because it's so dense and it's dark and it's draining to kind of read Monster. Monster is still amazing, but yeah,
and
Fire
it's a slow
Force.
burn.
Yeah, Monster is also slow. Monster's 150, 120 chapters, something like that. And Fire Force is like 300, but I'm 60 into it, right? Already after a couple of days. So really enjoying it. I think I'm definitely going to finish it out. I've spoiled myself on some of the ending because when it came out, I was like, I'm probably never going to read this. I'll see what the ending is. But it's interesting to know that and to read it. I don't care about spoilers all that much. So interesting to read that. So.
Yeah, I read like, I don't know, maybe 80 or something Fire Force, but I don't remember like a single thing, to be honest. But Soul Eater, I thought the plot was kind of like whatever, nonsensical, but the characters were freaking awesome, and I remember feeling the same way about Fire Force.
It's very similar.
Really
the plot drives the characters to do things, but it's much more interesting. And they aren't even necessarily interesting characters, but they're fun, right? They have interesting, weird quirks. They say funny stuff. The humor is something that actually surprised me the most. I was, most shonen are not that funny. This one has made me laugh maybe more than any other shonen. Like, it's funnier. Yeah, it's funnier on average for the number of chapters I've read than something like One Piece. Like, One Piece is goofy sometimes, but like I've had some legitimate laughs from some of the stuff that happens here. And the character interaction stuff is where most of that comes from. So.
The author's legitimately funny. I think Soul Eater was hilarious.
Yeah, Soul Eater, I remember watching and thinking it was actually really funny. So, yeah. I hope that this author does. I hope they do one more thing, and I hope that it's as good as Fire Force.
I think they've retired.
They might have. I wouldn't doubt it. They did 2. They drew for 15 years probably doing Fire. I mean, Fire Force lasted 8 years. I want to say that ended in 21. I want to say it started in 2014, maybe.
2 popular manga under their belt. Not many can say that,
Yeah. And if I see a cool fight, I'll go and look up the anime, and sometimes it's good, and sometimes it's awesome, and sometimes it's just okay.
Right.
But yeah, I also really like I think it's the first opening song is really good for the anime, but yeah. But anyways, you finished Persona 5, right? Persona 5 Royal?
I did. It was a really good game, and I think the Royal part of it was the best part, which is basically like 20 hours of content or so after. End, right? Yeah, it's like one more palace. And yeah, basically, the palace was the best palace in the game. The villain was, if you played Persona 5, you will know that all of the villains are kind of mustache twirly, super bad people.
Even if they don't start that way, they end up that way.
Yeah, exactly, right. This villain was not a bad person. They had the best intentions, and their desire was selfless. So they're kind of like a parallel viewpoint to the Phantom Thieves, which I thought was really compelling, and it made for a really good arc.
Interesting.
And God of War comes out
tonight.
In 1 hour.
Actually, we will. Yeah, I was about to say we'll be able to play it in 58 minutes. I was watching the time.
Yeah.
So, I got it downloaded. I just went and bought it. Yeah, like right before we started recording. So.
Nice. Yeah, I also downloaded it. I'm going to play a few hours tonight.
Yep, same.
More tomorrow.
Yep, I'm excited for it. The first one was absolutely Game of the Year 2018 for me, like hands down.
Phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah, really excited for this. Anything else? God of War?
Any last words? No, I'm just kind of curious as to how they dealt with boys' puberty.
Yeah, apparently they the what was it COVID messed up their recording because I think they started recording the motion capture and the voices and stuff, and he was trying to think. He probably would have been like maybe 14 or 15 because I think he was around 11 or 12 when he did the first one. So I guess he maybe would have been like 14, 15, yeah. And then COVID hit and they had to stop production and then they had to bring him back and his voice had changed and he was taller. And so they had to redo all of that stuff from what I've heard. And I'm trying to remember what I've heard online. I think they had to rewrite some of his story stuff to make him a little bit older as opposed to being more like end of preteen. He's more like almost an adult type story stuff. So yeah, we'll see. I'm super interested. I think the 2018 God of War might have the best story and characters in gaming of all time. I would put it in contention for it. Well, how about you?
Yeah, I would agree. It's up there. I can only think of a handful I like better.
Yeah, like maybe Metal Gear Solid for plot, but not really for characters, and Hades for characters, but not really for plot. There's a couple other things that can kind of give it a run for its money, but not on both fronts. So
yeah, and I know you don't agree with this, but I think I'd put Nier Automata up there.
Nier Automata I would put up there for characters, but not plot. Yeah, or maybe
for characters.
Actually, no, I would put it up there. I actually think most of my problems with Nier Automata are with the gameplay, so I think the rest of it's pretty phenomenal.
I'd also put the Portal games up there, even though they're like not trying to be anywhere near the same thing as God of War or Nier or anything. They're not deep stories, but they're well written.
The story execution in the Portal games is exceptional. Yeah,
it's so good.
Cool.
But yeah, that's about all I got.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Thanks for listening. If you're listening to this on a podcast thing, which I will get this out on eventually, or watching, if you want to support my channel, check out my Patreon, which is patreon.com/WGBmanga, or check me out on the rapidly declining Twitter. That's at WGBmanga. You can always find the YouTube channel by searching White, Gray, Black, Gray with an E. We are now the top result, thankfully. You can search that on YouTube. And always, thank you for being with us, and don't forget to read more manga. And let's see if I can turn it off.